Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the Oi, Let's Talk podcast. We have a bit of a rapid fire round again today. We're really in our rapid fire era.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Educational.
We love it.
We love it. So today we're going to be talking about is the online coaching industry oversaturated, or do you just need to redefine your messaging and your marketing?
Oh, this is great because we constantly hear the industry's oversaturated, PTs are a dime a dozen, but I want to challenge that and say, are they? For good coaches, is there really ever going to be a shortage? Maybe you just need to look at what messages you're putting out there. And we want to talk about that with some quick tips today.
And really looking at it through a little bit of a different lens. If you were, say, a lawyer, there's probably a fuckload of lawyers. You're going to feel like being a lawyer is an oversaturated industry. How many times do you finish a uni degree and it's hard to quote unquote find a job because there's so many other insert whatever you do here. So when you look at personal training, becoming an online coach, it's not necessarily an oversaturated industry, but if you're finding that you're struggling with marketing yourself and messaging, we've got a couple of tips for you.
First thing I wanted to touch on is if you, as you said, if you surround yourself only by coaches, or if you follow people on social media and everyone, say 300 people you follow all work in the same industry, it can feel quite overwhelming because there's just so much information out there. But I would challenge you to try to take yourself out of that situation and think actually in your friendship circle and with your family, how many personal trainers really are they in that situation? And the fact that there is always going to be a demand for people wanting to improve their health, get into the gym, learn about nutrition.
The obesity epidemic is on a rise. It has been on a rise for probably the last, don't quote me on this, 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
Personal trainers are a needed thing. Even if you think that they're an expensive luxury, yes, we kind of are an expensive luxury for majority of people, but people always have health concerns that we can help combat and fix them.
Yeah, we have something that is able to make a massive impact. And another thing with the mindset shift, which we'll talk about, is if you just focus on the fact that there's so many other people out there and it's all been done before, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on the fact that you have something that can make you have something that is life-changing. If you put your energy into that, if you focus on just helping one person, that is where you're going to be able to build momentum and make a real impact. If you focus on the fact that there's so many people out there and everyone's already got the messaging, you're just focusing on the wrong thing.
100%. Fucking mic drop. Can we drop these mics? Or nah? Yeah, 100%. I agree. So let's look into it maybe in a different lens.
Yep.
What would be one of your top tips for somebody who feels like maybe in their business right now, they're drowned out by the noise of the industry? Things are feeling oversaturated. What's your number one marketing tip that you would give someone? Go.
The first thing would be my messaging needs to be speaking to the people that I want to help. I think a lot of people can make the mistake, a lot of coaches, by learning really fancy things when they do their course, or maybe terminology that's quite exciting with biomechanics or nutrition, and then they speak to that language and it's missing the mark with the gen pop that they're wanting to help. So my first tip would be make sure you are speaking the language of the people you want to help. If you would like to help gen pop women, for example, speak about things that they are struggling with. Speak about things in a casual tone that is easy to understand, and then you'll actually be able to attract the people you want to help.
Don't use coaching jargon, right?
Yeah.
Like essentially that's what you're saying. It's
exactly.
Like, don't use coaching jargon where you're speaking to other coaches. It's like people who are wanting to work with you to lose weight that are a gen pop, they don't understand your coaching jargon. Like market it to your consumer, not to other coaches.
Exactly.
My top tip would be stop using fluff. So there is in the industry, a lot of people use a lot of fluff. And what I mean by fluff is words like get strong, get confident, love your body. But it's like, what is confidence to someone? Because confidence to me is completely different to what confidence to you would be, and you probably listening. So being confident to me is like being able to get up on a stage with 50,000 people and talk for 2 hours. That's the kind of confidence I want to build. But confidence for you could be actually just wearing a bikini down at the beach in summer, or getting naked in front of your partner and fucking loving what you see and not having to turn the lights off. So stop using fluffy words like get really confident, or the next step to find the most confident version of you. It's like get a little bit deeper on what is that person really struggling with. Now, when I say struggling, I don't want to use the word pain points, because I feel like if you're only ever marketing to pain points, you're marketing to people who are married to their pain points, and it's very hard for them to actually let go of their pain points. But stop using fluffy terminology. Get to the deeper level meaning of what confidence, what strong actually means to someone.
I love that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was actually showing your personality online, because you're not the only person delivering the information, right? There are 100 coaches that can write an amazing program, and the nutritional knowledge. A lot of it is stuff that we know, but it's about the delivery and building relationships with the people that want to work with you. So I urge you, although it may feel quite stressful putting yourself out there, because when you put yourself out there, you're putting it out to love and also to hate. But if you focus just on the fact that every time you show up on social media, you have the ability to make an impact and to help someone, show people what you're like. Show them your dog, your favorite things you like, things that you dislike, because that is how you're going to be able to attract people who actually really want to work with you. And you can find your dream clients that way who gel with you, because that goes a really long way with their compliance and with their retention. If they see what you're like by being warmed to you by what you put out on social media, then they are going to be clients that really align with you. But if you only put out that, get this, get that, these are the problems, this is the solution, it can be very dry. And I think that relationship goes a long way.
It also doesn't build trust.
Yeah.
So when you think to why someone would want to work with you, they need to be able to trust what you're saying is correct. And an element of trust, in my opinion, is getting to know the human behind the account, behind the phone screen. And like me and Gemma, we've had this multiple times before. We'll meet people who have followed us on Instagram, and the first thing they say to us is like, oh, you're exactly like you are on Instagram. It's like, well, no shit, because like, that's just my life. I'm not going to come on and be this weird filtered version of myself.
Yeah.
I think another thing as well that's really powerful that you could probably change in terms of like your marketing and your messaging is it's okay to have different opinions. And I think that this is really important, having duality and polarity in what your polarity?
Yeah.
Polarity, that's the right word?
Polarizing.
Polarizing
in your
opinions. Is actually a powerful thing. So like, for example, if you don't agree with meal plans, say you don't agree with them. If you don't agree with waking up at 5 a.m. every day thinking that you're better than everyone else in the universe, say that you don't agree with that. Like, it's actually okay to have different opinions to other coaches in the industry. And that's probably one of the things, if not one of the things, that is going to make you stand out. So we've both worked with a lot of coaches who have their own businesses, and I collect a lot of data. I'm a bit of a data slut. So collect a lot of data. And one of the big things that I collect is what makes you different in terms of you as a coach versus the next coach in line. And everyone says two of the most common things. I want to create impact and I have a really big heart and I'm super passionate. It's like, well, if everyone's saying that, none of you are different. Like, you're all the same. So let's look at, okay, what actually makes you different? Do you have different opinions? Do you not agree with what everyone else is posting on social media? Do you have a different way of doing things? And if so, anchor into that, be authentic and harness that and use your voice to get that across on your social media.
And also, it's okay. We don't have to all agree. It's not a bad thing. We can agree to disagree. We can respect differing opinions. I think that's the important thing to put out there, because I know when I started, it's kind of like you don't want someone to misunderstand what you're trying to say or whatever it is. But as you go on, you kind of understand that it's okay if people misinterpret you, because the right people for the right messaging are going to be the ones who come and stick around because they like what you're putting out there.
Absolutely. I think the last thing for me that I want to talk about is make your Instagram look good. Now, I'm not saying, like when we talk to marketing and messaging, right? I'm not saying that your Instagram needs to be aesthetically pleasing, but like put a little bit of fucking effort into it. Make sure that you go and get like branding photos done, something that represents you. If you're not putting effort into what it is that you're posting and the content that you're posting, you're probably going to find it really hard to actually land your dream clients. Because when I look at, for me, hiring a coach, I look at multiple different things, but one of the things that I look at is like, how are you showing up? What level of effort are you putting into your business? What level of effort are you then putting into your clients? Because if you're getting on your Instagram and you're just like not really giving a fuck or taking it very seriously, it probably shows me that you don't really give a fuck about other elements, which could potentially mean your clients, your business, the results that they're getting as well. So don't look at the aesthetic side of like, oh, it needs to be pretty and every second post needs to be a Canva thing. But I mean, look at, okay,
It's like consistent content about what you're what you're wanting to learn
Yeah,
about.
and like, does my Instagram look nice to the people who would want to hire me?
Yep.
Not as in pretty nice, but like actual quality.
Yep. And something that stuck with me a little while ago was thinking about it as like, in this day and age, your Instagram is your business card. People,
It's your resume,
It's your
baby.
resume. Like, if you think about it that way, then you can think about why the effort that it might take to, create that content is worthwhile, because people are warmed to you by, testimonials, word of mouth, what you're putting out there, what you're about. That all counts to people ending up working with you. So think about it as your Instagram is your business card. People will look at what you've put out there as a silent follower before they decide to buy. So put the effort in.
It's like you wouldn't go to a job and give your CV on a ripped up bit of paper that your dog had half eaten. So it's the same thing, right, with your Instagram. It's like, make it look somewhat presentable that represents you with quality content.
Exactly.
Quality shareable content.
Yeah. My last point is, as a female coach, I think that there is this tricky line that we can get stuck into when we're building, say, our social media following, we're sharing our fitness journey, say we're then pivoting into working with people. And I think that we can get offered, say, we've spoken about this before, but it's a really important point where you can get sucked into potentially being sponsored by different brands or working with different activewear people or supplements. And if you're always sharing other businesses, are you putting the same effort into sharing your own business? And are you getting stuck in the being an influencer area, or are you actually putting in the effort to be a coach? Because I think there's a clear line there. How you're showing up on social media as, discount code for this business and selling this and selling that. If every single post that you're putting out there is selling for another business, that will have an impact on the trust the audience has for you and how you're viewed by your audience. Versus that stuff's fine if it's few and far between. But I personally believe that if your sole business is to be a coach or a PT or nutritionist, then most of your content needs to be catered towards providing value around that thing. If it's 50-50 influencing and what you're trying to sell, that's going to confuse your audience, and there's going to be a level of trust that's lost there. So I would just be careful if I was getting into the industry, or if you're struggling with landing clients, to think about what the majority of your messaging is targeted towards, and if that's actually going to land with your audience you're wanting to help.
I totally agree. I probably have more of a savage opinion on this, but
I think I'm shocked.
Really? Do we expect anything less? But I actually think, like, if you are spending 50 to 80% of your time posting about other brands, you don't give a fuck about being a coach.
You're probably
Don't.
misaligned.
Sorry, you really don't.
It's just like your shit.
No, but when you actually think about it this way, like, if you're spending that amount of time promoting something else versus promoting the life-changing work that you're doing with your clients, whether that is changing their nutrition habits, fixing their relationship with themselves, their body image, that shit is fucking incredible. If you're spending 50% or 80% of your time promoting a supplement company with a fucking greens powder, it's like, you do not care about the work that you're actually doing, and you probably shouldn't be in the industry, in my opinion. And I'm not saying don't do any promotional work. You definitely can. I've been promoted and sponsored by supplement companies multiple times before. I've worked with multiple different brands, activewear companies and things like that. But the difference is that's 2% of what I post.
I just think, what do you want to be known for?
An influencer or a coach?
And on that note, thank you for listening.
If
you've liked this episode, as you should, give us 5 stars. We're trying to get to our goal of 5-star reviews. And if you're listening along, share it, take a photo, put it on your Instagram, and we'll see you next week.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.